Hi, I'm Jeremy and this is Yoga with Jeremy. Today's practice is a super chill out shoulder stretch out that's perfect for releasing any tension that you're holding in the shoulders, especially if you're rounded over a computer or your phone all day. We're also going to need props for today's practice, so if you have 2 yoga blocks that would be great. Otherwise you can use 2 thick books or a stack of magazines or anything like that. We'll also need a thick cushion. We'll also need a thick cushion or pillow, so anything that you can find around the house would be great. And on top of that, final note before we start the practice is that I'm conducting classes on Zoom, so if you've enjoyed these videos and you wish to join any real classes with me, you can always go down in the description box below where I will drop a link to the studio that I'm currently teaching with. Let's get started with the practice. And let's start today's practice lying on our bellies, face down on the mat. We begin today with a simple stretch into the chest. So as we're lying down on the mat, let's place the right hand underneath the shoulder and the left hand extending all the way out to the left. And then pressing into the right hand, let's start to roll the body open, rolling to the left. The right foot now touches down behind the body. And here you should feel a deep stretch into the front of the chest on the left side, as well as the left side of the shoulder. We're staying here just breathing. And taking a variation with the arms if you need to. So this variation can be to bring the right hand behind the back. No matter what variation you're taking in the arms, the goal is always just to feel into the pose and try to rotate the body open a little bit more. We've got a few more moments here. And as we breathe, deepening the breath, and then slowly let's switch sides. So now the right hand is extended all the way to the right and the left hand is underneath the shoulder. From this position, pressing into the left hand, let's roll the body open, the left foot touching down behind you. Left shoulder is pointing up to the ceiling, and then taking an option with the hands, maybe you'd like to have the left hand behind the back. Feeling that stretch here, the right side of the chest, the front of the right shoulder. And don't feel as if you need to go 100% into the stretch from the very beginning. Sometimes it helps just to find that 70% point where you can feel a little bit of a stretch. And from there then the work is to begin slowly working into it. Last few moments. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's come back to center. And coming up into a tabletop position on your hands and knees, with the hands under the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Maintaining the knees underneath the hips, let's find an extended puppy by crawling the hands further forward until the chest can start to melt down towards the mat. And what we're trying to find here is just that sense of surrender, allowing the body to just release and relax into the mat. And it doesn't really matter exactly where you are in this pose. For some of us, it's the forehead that is touching the mat. For others, maybe the chin is on the mat. And for some others still, the chest can be grounded on the mat. No matter where we are in this pose, we're all feeling this opening through the mid and upper back, and even the shoulders. And if you're holding any tension in the shoulders, now is the time to let go of the tension by consciously relaxing the muscles in and around the shoulders. Notice there should also be no strain around the neck. And then observing also the hips. So the hips should be centered directly over the knees. And maybe they're a little bit forward and a little bit back is okay, but we try not to, most importantly, avoid the hips sitting too far back. And if we do that, we will escape a little bit of the stretch that we're looking for here. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's gradually come back up. Good. And from this position now, we're going to stretch more into the shoulders. So if you have 2 yoga blocks, you can use those. Otherwise, 2 small stacks of books seems to work just fine here. Let's place them at the top of the mat in an inverted V formation. And then resting the elbows on top of the blocks or books, let's find that same extended puppy pose. Bring the hands into a prayer position as you continue to melt the chest down towards the mat. Notice this position is very similar to that extended puppy we just took, with the main difference here being that the stretch is largely focused on the shoulders instead. And stay here to breathe. Continue to go a little bit deeper here. Again, that sense of surrender can help to take you deeper. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's gradually release. Good. Crawling the hands back underneath the shoulders, and then we come into a simple seated position. So here in this sitting position now, we're going to take Gomukhasana arms. Let's find the right hand first, up and over. Reach for the space between the shoulder blades. And using the left hand, let's pull onto the right elbow, bring it in towards the center line, slightly closer. Then once you're here, you can stay right here is perfectly okay. Other option is to find Gomukhasana arms by internally rotating the left arm behind the back and trying to clasp onto opposite fingers. And don't worry here if the fingers are just slightly out of reach, it's perfectly fine. We keep them exactly where they are, continuing to reach for each other, or maybe even holding on to your shirt is perfectly okay. Use the back of the head here to press into the right forearm as you lift the chin just a little bit more, opening up into that right shoulder. And at the same time, we're not rounding the spine at all, so try to stay with the spine perfectly upright, the chest nice and proud. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's switch sides. This time the left hand is reaching for the space between the shoulder blades. And the right hand, first we pull onto the top elbow, bring it into the center line. Then use the back of the head to press into the left forearm. And then as an option, the right hand can internally rotate behind the back, finding Gomukhasana arms. Holding on to opposite fingertips here. Using, once again, the back of the head to press into the forearm. Lifting the chin. Opening the left shoulder. Again, not worrying about exactly where you are in the pose. More concerned about ensuring that we feel the pose. Stay here to breathe. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's gradually release. And now we come back down onto the mat, again lying on our bellies, but this time make use of the large thick cushion or pillow that you have. Lying so that the cushion or pillow is underneath the chest. And let's stay with the elbows on the mat. Here in a modified Sphinx pose. From this modified Sphinx pose, let's have the left forearm in front of the right forearm, with the forearms parallel to the front of the mat. And then start to crawl the hands away from each other, so that the space between the shoulder blades behind you starts to open out. Good. And as you do this now, we start to feel that stretch around the space between the shoulder blades. We're still propped up by the cushion or pillow. And we're holding it here, feeling that stretch. And maybe taking the opportunity to crawl a little bit deeper. And notice if it helps, you can try to bring the chin forward just a little bit, the chest slightly further forward. That can sometimes help to deepen the stretch. Breathing here and holding. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switching sides now. This means that we come back to that Sphinx pose, and instead of left forearm in front of right forearm, this time it's right forearm in front of left forearm. Once again, the forearms parallel to the front of the mat. Then crawl the hands away from each other, feeling the body sinking down. Feel the space opening up again into the space between the shoulder blades. And then maybe shifting the chest a little further forward, the chin slightly further forward. And maybe crawling the hands just a little further away. Holding it here. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's release from this position by crawling the hands back. And we come up now into a seated position just for a moment. The last stretch is going to make use of your thick cushion or pillow once again, or the option to use your block. So you have two options here. I will demonstrate with both. So we're going to take a supported fish pose, and the goal here is to really allow the back, especially the middle back, to open up. If you're using a cushion or pillow, from the seated position, placing the cushion or pillow behind you, and we're just going to lie back across the pillow so that the middle of the back is supported by the pillow. The head touches down onto the mat, and the hips do not lift. And we're taking the arms up overhead. And if you're using blocks, the same thing. The option here is to use the blocks right where the middle back is. So that's roughly where the bottom of the shoulder blades are. Gently positioning them right where the bottom of the shoulder blades are at your preferred height, and then lying back across the blocks. Head touching down, the hips not lifted, the arms up overhead. And again, just taking the time here to relax and allow the middle and upper spine to open. And we'll stay here for just a few minutes in silence. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's gradually release by removing the props from underneath the body. And we finish today's practice lying down here in Shavasana. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the practice, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!